What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Ryan back with another video. Today's video is one that I've been working on for a while. As you can see, got a whole bunch of notes. So today's video is about the ultimate truth, and probably going to be a really long video. And I've been wanting to cover this because it's all I've been thinking about for about 5 weeks. Just been trying to figure things out, figure out what I'm doing here, things like that. So the ultimate truth. Everybody wants to know what the ultimate truth is about the world, right? So why is it important? Knowing the truth is incredibly important. If you're anything like me, you want to live the best life that is possible for you to live. So which means you want to do everything in your action on your side of the equation to live the best life possible. So it's like circumstances are gonna come at you and throw you off a little bit, whatever. And you know, I believe there's luck involved, and there's all these kind of beliefs like maybe God is doing things in your life, or maybe the universe, whatever, for some people is working things out in your life. But there are so many things in our control. At least that's what it seems like, and that's what you know, tons and tons of people believe, right? That we have a little bit of control. Some people have, there's varying views where some people think there's a totally sovereign God and we have no control and it's an illusion, or we're living in a simulation, something like that. And then there's the opposite side of the spectrum where there could be atheists who think we came from nothing for nothing and everything is in our control. And I guess that wouldn't be the end of the spectrum, because it's like, yeah, things still happen to you. Maybe the other end of the spectrum would be like people who think you can manifest and create your reality. So that would be that extent of control. But I think we would all agree, most of us, that we have a little bit of control on our side. So for me, if you're anything like me, you want to be able to maximize your control on your side to be able to live the best life possible. I'm thinking every day about how I only live one time, and I want to use my actions the best way I can. So a lot of times I think about it like a board game. So let's say you're playing a board game and there are two different players, and the thing is that in this scenario you don't know what the objective is of the board game. So it's kind of like you're play testing a board game and they just tell you, oh, try to figure out how to win, you know? So that's what life is. So we're thrown into this board game, and just like in a board game, we have a certain number of actions, right? So we have our, I don't know, in America, I don't know what the average lifespan is. Let's say, you know, it's probably like 75 years, 80 years. So that's like kind of the time span for all your actions. So in the 80 years and the 75 years, you can spend all those actions however you want. So in a board game, the way you win is you find out what the objective is. You know, you figure out what that is and you figure out the best way to get there. But in life, a lot of times we don't know what the objective is right away. So in the same way, if two people are playing a board game and they're just told to try to figure it out, let's say one of the players, let's say they're like a really ambitious, whatever, and they just kind of get to work kind of attitude. They start taking action. They start making moves and progressing the board game the best they know how, but they don't truly know the objective. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll just start taking action, you know, because I'm not going to be able to figure out everything. And you kind of just figure it out as you go and figure out the objective as you go. So the way I see it is, it's kind of like if it were on a graph, like you have those people, that player who is going to have like a lot of action. They're taking a lot of action and they're getting some satisfaction out of life and what they're doing, but they don't know what the real objective is necessarily. So they're taking a lot of action, and it's kind of like, you know, it can be linear or up and down a little bit because they don't know exactly what's going on in life, in the board game. And then you have the other player. So the other player, let's say that their strategy is they are going to, basically, they're going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out what the objective is, so that way they can just go straight to the finish line and figure out exactly the best, most efficient way to spend their actions so they can win the game, right? And so a lot of times I feel like that, and I feel like I'm guilty of spending too much time trying to figure everything out. So the point is there's a balance that needs to happen, right? And everyone knows this, that you're taking some action and everything, but you need to step back and you need to figure out what you're doing here, what your purpose is. So everyone kind of balances that out differently, and there's different sides of the spectrum, right? So the way I think of it is like the one player who's taking a lot of action has a lot of action going on, but then maybe their satisfaction is a little bit up and down because they don't know exactly what they're doing here, right? What they're doing in the board game. However, the other player isn't taking a lot of action at first. So like if it's on a graph, it's down here, right? So they're not taking a lot of action. They're trying to figure out what's going on and making little moves and whatever. But then once they figure out the objective, then that action is just going to go way up and they're going to know exactly what they're doing. And when the action goes up and they know their true purpose, at the same time their satisfaction is going to go way up. But there's the risk that you might not find out what that objective is, that you're spending too much time on it and everything. So the person who's spending a lot of time trying to figure out what we're doing here, the ultimate truth, all that, it might go little action, then a lot of action, and a lot of satisfaction in life. But the other person, they might have a ton of action done and they're far down the road in their life, and then they start to figure out this, I know what I'm doing here. I'm so glad that I didn't just sit down and try to think about what I'm doing. I figured it out as I went. And so there are strengths to both of these sides, but I kind of think about it hoping that I figure a lot of this thing out. That way I can just go up in action and satisfaction, just like super fast, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I think about this whole thing with life as it is kind of related to like a board game, or a board game is a good metaphor for it. So in relation to the ultimate truth, that's kind of how it works to me. It's kind of like you can spend all this time trying to figure out what the truth is, and then you kind of like skyrocket in the action and the satisfaction in life and the happiness, whatever. Or you can just figure it out kind of as you go. So I'm trying to balance it out in my own life. I'll probably make another video on like a visual aid of the graph that I'm envisioning and things like that. So yeah, so why is this so important to figure out what the truth is about life? Well, for me, it's for that reason, you know, you want to figure out what it is so that you can get a lot of that action and satisfaction at the same time, and be really fulfilled in life. But the thing is that for the person who's just taking a lot of action and doesn't know exactly what's going on, if there is an incredible truth out there in the world, in the universe, that we can tap into, or if there's a God that we can know, during the entire life of that person, they could realize after so much action that they could have been drawing from a higher power or higher truth that could influence every action about their life. And so that can be one of the drawbacks, I feel like, of that play style in the board game, or that lifestyle, is that you are not able to pull from this higher truth to influence every action in every moment. And so I'm going so hard after this thing because I want to be influenced in every moment by what the total truth is, because I think that the risk or the investment is going to be so worth it to figure these things out, so that I can know what is the truth, and is there like a being that I can know, that I can relate to, that can influence my every action and decision. And I just feel like it'll enrich every moment so much more. So that's the whole point, is when I'm going through life, I want to be able to go to wherever. I want to be able to go outside. I want to be able to be in my room. I want to be able to go travel somewhere. I want to be able to be anywhere and know what's going on in the world, in the universe. I want to be able to live the best reality that I can, the most informed reality, so that I can understand how I need to be seeing things in each moment. So that's why this is important, because you want to be able to live the most like integrated and fulfilled life that you can in each moment. And so that's what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for being able to live in the true reality where I can, if God is real, where I can really know Him and I can live in relationship with Him in each moment. And if God isn't real, if there's like a universal power or whatever, or if it's the universe or whatever, like I want to know that. I want to know that that's what is true, and know where I can draw wisdom from, or power, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everyone, like, that's what's going to help us all out, is understanding the truth, and that's what's going to make our lives the best things, the best that it could be. All right, so that's why it's important. So I guess let's just go ahead and get into it. So, huge, gigantic, old question, age-old question, you know. So in the beginning, what happened? So I made another video about this, how I believe that the spiritual is necessarily real. And I say spiritual, but I think just like the supernatural, the beyond the natural, is necessarily real. This is because I'm not against evolution in some sense, but evolution without a supernatural power or other dimensional power behind it doesn't make sense at all. And I really don't believe that anything just happens for no reason. So I believe in, to some extent, in evolution, and I believe that evolution can work in like a macro evolution sense if there is a life force behind it. So a life force is necessary. It doesn't necessarily have to be God, but a life force is necessary to start life. And I think that we see even in microevolution and just the way that the world works and all the theories of leading atheist scientists or just mainstream scientists are saying it's evolution, it's evolution, it's evolution. But that's not just going to happen, and things won't get more complicated and come together more precisely. And there's the classic illustration of finding the wristwatch in the woods. And no one would say, yeah, that probably just came to be after billions of years. And so here's how it could come to be. If there was something supernatural behind the physical realm and working behind it and working its force on it that wanted that watch to come into being. And why would that life force be wanting the watch to come into being? Why would it want humans to eventually come into being as an evolution from animals? And I think that would be because the life force is good, whatever it is. It's good, and it's leading towards a brighter and better, more beautiful future because it's creating more and more amazing things. Humans are absolutely incredible, and I think we're pretty beautiful, and humanity's pretty beautiful, and I think a lot of us would agree. So it's my opinion that the life force is good. If the life force was bad, or it was like a trickster or something like that, it would be like building something up for all these billions of years. If you believe that, it would be building something up and building a timeline, whatever, and making all these incredible creatures and human beings and planets and all that stuff. And then it would like want it to die. Like, why would there be a life force that exists just to like trick people? So now that could, it's so hard to confirm that things are the truth, because that could be true if someone created this super elaborate simulation or whatever. But I think that we can kind of, like, it's my opinion, let's say that the life force, whatever it is good, and even if evolution is true, it's leading us towards a brighter, better future. And you can kind of see this, we'll talk about this later, you can kind of see this with even just, we see it everywhere all the time. Light is greater than the darkness. And I really don't think, okay, even if there was like a creator of this entire simulated world, if it was a simulation, would they put all of these analogies in here in our everyday lives? Like the light is greater than the darkness, to just trick us and want to destroy it and destroy everything and be a malevolent life force. I don't think so. I think that it's represented all around us, that this life force behind everything wants goodness for us and wants more beauty and wants more love and more goodness. So just an example of that is the light being greater than the darkness, and light always overpowers the darkness. And I think that just in my experience, it's just like in people's hearts and in people's minds that the light is greater than the darkness, and we want the light. And in my experience with people's lives that I've seen, people are happiest with finding the light, finding goodness and more love and more beauty. And so I feel like it's just written into us. So I feel like that is necessary. It doesn't have to be God, but it's necessary. So what do I believe? I don't exactly know right now. I think that I believe that it's God, though. Okay, so there's either like the Big Bang, a beginning of an entire massive, ever-expanding universe, right? So, and not necessarily the Big Bang, but as I would see it, it's like that life force, like starting everything from nothing. It's like the creator, you know? And so, I mean, even the life force could be called God, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really understand when people don't think that there's a higher being or a higher power, at least. So we either have these are the two options for me. I know there are tons of creation stories, but this, in my limited knowledge of the huge universe and all these, you know, what 8 billion other people believe around me, these are the two options that I kind of have in my head. So like the Big Bang and the creation of the universe and all that, or God created the heavens and the earth, the biblical view, right? So God created the heavens and the earth and the whole Genesis story and all that. So what is true history? A lot of Christians, most Christians would say that the Bible implies and says that it's 6,000 years of history. And 6,000 years ago, it was literally 6 days. Now there's other people who would argue other stances, other arguments that the 6 days aren't literal, that they represent bigger periods of time. So that is the general view among Christians, and I think that it's the most popular. And then we have, this is what a lot of mainstream scientists agree on, around 13 billion years. I think it might be like 13.8 or something, I can't remember. But that's what people say in the mainstream. So I think something that I've been looking into a lot is Sumerian tablets and recorded history from really old cultures. And I've been wrestling with, like, how true are these things? Are they historical? Are they mythological? Or are they based on some truth? Okay, so I don't exactly know the answer to that. I've heard about that just recently, that there's Sumerian tablets that talk about many, many years of history. And that was so long ago when those were written, it's difficult to know if the culture thought, oh, this is historical, like it should be regarded as historical, or if it's just poetic, or what. So we're going to get more into that. The Sumerian Kings list, that has 241,000 is an approximation. It's a little more or something, like 241,300 years or something like that. So is this history? Is it a myth? Is it a mistranslation? So there are a lot of kind of prominent figures that are growing in popularity a lot that are talking about these Sumerian tablets, and I've watched a bunch of their videos and been trying to piece it together for myself. So basically, a lot of these prominent figures today are recognizing a lot of the Sumerian tablets as history, and they're saying, why would we not think that it's history? They're saying, like, why would these very early civilizations who are concerned with surviving and going to eat and build shelter and everything, why they wouldn't have time to record like mythological tales and things like that? Now, I don't know if that's true, and there's other people that argue that they were really advanced civilizations and they would have time for all this poetic stuff and just pastimes, things, whatever. But I am not sure. I'm not sure if this is history, if it's myth. I'm not exactly sure. But regardless, the Sumerian Kings list And there's many other Sumerian tablets. But this is just one as an example that's really real. You can look up the Sumerian kings list. The text says that some of these rulers ruled for incredibly long time, so like tens of thousands of years. And it's like, okay, that's not, I mean, we don't live that long, so what happened there? Is that historical? Is that mythological? And so it's kind of the question of, like, were these kings even real? And if they were real, were they aliens? Were they fallen angels? Were they humans? Things like that. So that's kind of some of the things that I've been thinking about. Now, regarding the Bible. So we have to question if the Bible is, in regards to the list, if the Bible is true and literal. So if it's 6,000 years, and if that's true and the Bible is literal, if the Bible is true and it's literal, then the list can't be historical. If the Bible, however, is false, then the list might be true history. Or we can say that maybe both are true. Maybe the Sumerian kings list is true. It's real history, and the Bible is true, and it's just a misinterpretation of the Bible, but the Bible is truth. So there's those different views, and then within that there's a little bit of room for other views too. So the Bible could be false, and and the list could be false as well. So I mean, there's all kinds of different things. I'm throwing my beliefs in here about the Bible because of my experience and what I've seen in my own life, which we'll get into that later. But these are the things that I'm dealing with as kind of two main things that are kind of fighting in my mind. So if the Bible is false and the list is true history, and if both are true and we need to reinterpret the Bible, if either of those are correct, then we have to ask ourselves what the kings are, right? The Sumerian kings. So the kings, to me, here's some options that I came up with. So they're Nephilim, right? So biblically, those are fallen angels that that reproduced with human women, and they gave birth to the Nephilim. So they're like hybrid angel humans. Or the kings could be aliens. That's the kind of stuff, like, I believe in, like, the Ancient Aliens, kind of like the History Channel and things like that. That they say that these are aliens that were really advanced civilizations that lived before us. Okay, they could be people with super long lives. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? This is all assuming that that the Sumerian kings list is historical. We're just saying if it is historical, then these are the options. So they could also be angels and demons. So not even Nephilim, but just real angels and demons. So yeah, we're kind of looking into, like, let's say that it is historical. Let's say that the Sumerian tablets are historical. So these are the different options. So if we're saying that Sumerian tablets are historical, and we're just kind of questioning that and everything, you kind of have to look at the other cultures and say, okay, if there were ancient aliens that ruled for thousands of years, and they ruled over these different civilizations, how much of Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology is that historical? Is it myth? Is it based off of some truth? And so in the same way, Greek gods, Egyptian gods, gods of other cultures, were they real beings? Were they mythical? Were they based off of some truth? And so a lot of prominent figures will talk about the Anunnaki, and I haven't looked into this a lot, but you'll hear a lot of people talk about the Anunnaki, which were the gods of the Sumerians, and basically the story is that it was somewhere around 200,000 years ago that the Anunnaki were ruling over the Sumerians, and basically these were gods. And there's this theory that the human race was created by these Anunnaki, and were created to be like slaves and laborers. So that's one of the big theories, and it kind of relates to what we're talking about gods, and gods being historical or mythological. Okay, so when we're talking about Greek gods, Egyptian gods, gods of other cultures, were they real beings? Were they myth? Were they based off of some truth? And so let's assume that they are real beings. So if they were real beings, there's a few options of what they could be. So firstly, they could be Nephilim, like we talked about earlier. They could be Nephilim, which is the hybrids. They could also be aliens, or they could be angels and / demons. So if these gods were really real, and if the Anunnaki came from somewhere and gave humanity some advanced technology and taught them about agriculture and building and all these things, then they would be Nephilim, or they would be aliens or angels and demons. So if they were Nephilim, that would make sense biblically. And we have to fit that into a biblical mindset if we believe that the Bible is true. If they were aliens, it could make sense biblically that these were aliens. It could make sense biblically if aliens are angels / demons. And it could also make sense biblically if aliens are really aliens that come from like a different reality or a different planet or whatever, and that aren't disallowed biblically. So it could make sense. Angels and demons, again, would make sense biblically. So here's another thing that we know that is super interesting that kind of changes. It makes you have to think about history and what's going on there. So the Egyptian pyramids were clearly created by advanced beings, because there's technology that we don't know how the pyramids were exactly constructed. And so, and there's, as we keep researching about the pyramids, we keep finding out new different things about how it was such an advanced culture and such advanced beings that created these things, because of different, I'm not an expert on it, but different scientific topics about like electromagnetism and generating energy, like free endless energy through something. I'm not an expert on it, but the shape of the pyramid is able to and the inner chambers and things like that are able to create free energy. But anyways, even these stones, supposedly, I mean, I haven't been there. These stones are supposedly perfectly cut and interlocking, and they're like custom made, every one of them. And they come from, I think it's like 500 miles away in a quarry or something like that. And so it's just like the Egyptian pyramids could not have been created by humans. It would be absolutely insane to think that. So it makes you think, okay, what were these advanced beings? So biblically, it could have been Nephilim, that were the gods that were they were actually real beings, like in Egypt, and we see in the hieroglyphics like pictures of these kind of like hybrid beings, and a lot of people say it's just mythology. But what if those beings were actually really real and they were really the gods of the Egyptians? Maybe they were aliens, maybe they were angels or demons, maybe they were Nephilim. So, not exactly sure on that. So another question to help us piece together what is going on here in history and in the world is, are aliens real? So if aliens are real, then they could either be true aliens that are like from different planets and from different dimensions, things like that, or they're angels / demons. Not really sure on that. I'm not sure where I really stand on that. If aliens aren't real, if the idea of aliens isn't real, aliens aren't real at all, then everyone who has ever had an experience with one is either lying or delusional. Now, you could go on Reddit right now and look at alien encounters and search that up and scroll endlessly at looking at alien encounters. So the question is kind of, what is going on there? So to me, the alien phenomenon is absolutely real. Like, there's too many people saying they have stories with aliens for it to not be real. There's there's like the Pentagon footage that's been released. That's like a really public, well-known thing. Could that be fake? Yeah. And like a lot of times, the thing is, I'm just living my life with my small scope, and we all just kind of have like little different things that we use to research different things. The biggest thing for us in the 21st century is our cell phones, and we're able to use that to go on different websites and on YouTube and all these things and find out things about reality. But even then, a lot of these places we haven't actually been to ourselves and put our eyes on things and touch things for ourselves. And so I'm saying all this, but I mean, at the end of the day, it could be a huge, gigantic hoax. You don't absolutely know for sure, but I can be pretty sure that the alien phenomenon is definitely real, because you go on Reddit and you see endless accounts of people having experiences with aliens. So if aliens are real, there's two options. They're either real aliens and they come from different planets and they come from different dimensions and things like that, and our universe is ever expanding, or they're angels/demons. And so I'm going to get into it in a little bit. We're going to get into it right now, actually. If aliens are really aliens, we can apply two worldviews to it that I'm kind of thinking about right now. Either we live in a massive universe, which is definitely the mainstream view, that it's a massive universe, that it's ever expanding. We live in a massive universe, or we live in a biblical firmament. So this is kind of where people get kind of a little, some people can get a little uncomfortable with the idea of flat earth. So I don't view it as flat earth. I view it as reading the Bible literally and talking about the firmament with the waters above and the waters below. So if aliens are really aliens and we live in a massive universe, then aliens come from other planets and dimensions. So is the Bible true or false? Is the Bible, when it talks about waters above, waters below, in different verses about the earth being stationary, motionless, do we need to, if the Bible is true, then do we need to reinterpret those verses and fit our view about the ever-expanding universe into the Bible and reinterpret the Bible? Or the Bible is true and aliens can exist. And aliens can exist in a biblical firmament that's kind of like the dome above us, with the waters above and the waters below. And aliens can exist, but maybe they just come from a different like reality that God has created, or they come from planets, but planets aren't what we think they are, something like that. So these are just some different ideas that I'm throwing out. So if aliens are really aliens and we live in a biblical firmament, then yeah, so aliens exist. Oh, I'm sorry. So we were talking about if aliens are really aliens and we live in a massive universe. So we need to reinterpret the Bible to fit the massive universe, and aliens can exist according to the Bible if we live in a massive universe. Yeah, so that the Bible can be true and we reinterpret it and we live in a massive universe and they come from different planets and it's okay for the Bible to exist. That's a possibility. But then if aliens are really aliens and we live in a biblical firmament, then aliens are going to exist as beings that can travel through the realities that God has created, like I said. So those are the few of the options. Next let's talk about if aliens are angels or demons. So the two choices that we had if aliens are real. Is they're aliens or they're angels/demons? So those are kind of two big choices that I have. So if aliens are angels/demons and we live in a biblical firmament, then so that would be like the dome, and it would be the flat earth, and we live with waters above us and the heavens really physically above us, and hell or the underworld underneath us, like a lot of ancient cosmological understandings of the world. Then they really come from other planets, and they truly do come from other planets as kind of a portal or something, because if the biblical firmament is real, then the planets aren't going to be as big as we're told they are by NASA and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what they are. I don't have access to these big telescopes that look way out there and see the planets and things like that. And I don't have my own telescope. But they would come from other planets as like a portal or something, because how do you live on that tiny object? And so it's either they really do come from planets, or the aliens are coming as angels and demons, and they lie to us. So it'd be demons probably, or fallen angels. They lie to us about coming from planets. And we'll get into it later, some real examples of how these gods, these beings have come down from different planets and told cultures different things, and gave them advanced technology and advanced intellectual understanding of how to live and things like that. So we'll get into that later. But they could be demons or fallen angels that are lying about coming from planets in order to kind of make humanity believe that aliens are really real and there's other cultures and whatever, and kind of like disprove God and give strength to the argument that we live in a massive, ever-expanding universe that means nothing and is meaningless. And there's other like alien races and things like that that exist. And that would kind of take away from the idea of a biblical firmament that gives strength to the argument of there being a God. So that's kind of where all that comes from. So if aliens are angels / demons and we live in a massive universe, then they're just going to come from wherever heaven and hell are. So in a massive universe, I don't know where heaven and hell are. They might be spiritual. I'm not exactly sure. They might be a real place. I'm not exactly sure. But those are some of the options I have for these different ideas. So yeah, the idea of the biblical firmament, if you haven't looked into any of flat earth before, that might sound totally crazy. It sounded really stupid to me. And back probably 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking into a whole bunch of different conspiracy theories. I kind of stumbled upon some different things, and I was like, what? And I had like my kind of awakening that like the world is super evil, and that people high up in society are doing really evil things. A lot of satanic worship and serving the devil, and like I realized that the devil is so real and he really has a hand over the world. And that's my perception of it right now. Whether the devil is like one part of the equation, and Christianity isn't really the ultimate truth about reality, and the devil is just a really powerful being and whatever. I don't know exactly on that, but it seems to me that Satan, that the devil is really real and he has a lot of power in this world. I don't know exactly what he is, but anyways, I was getting into a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding that, and just a lot of digging into like what's going on in Freemasonry and the occult and things like that. And I was researching a ton of different stuff, and then I kept coming upon like people are like, oh, you got to look into flat earth, you know? And I was like, no, that's dumb. Like how could that be how could that be true? Like there's no way that that's true. And so I just decided to look into it just a little bit and try to figure some things out about it, see what I thought. But I did think it was really dumb. And I ended up coming across, okay, I don't know about conclusive things. I've seen a lot of videos actually of like little cameras with balloons going up really high and seeing just a flat surface, you know, just a flat horizon. And so that kind of makes you think about things. One of the biggest things is like what's going on with NASA. And if you look up footage of being in space, or just pictures of the Earth or whatever, it's like there will be like one official picture of the globe of our planet like it's like 3 years or whatever. And it's like, okay, if I was an astronaut, I would have my phone out, I'd have my camera, and I'll be taking tons of pictures. It would be so gorgeous out there. And so I would encourage you to look into all this for yourself, but there's just some things that I don't know that I've seen like proof that the Earth is flat or that we live in a firmament, we live in a dome, but there's a lot of things that make you question things. And there's a lot of evidence of NASA taking like there'll be the picture of the globe, and then they'll reuse certain like cloud formations on another picture, and they'll just copy and paste it. And it's like, okay, why, if we could just be up in space like taking real pictures of the moon? And there's a whole bunch of just shady, weird stuff surrounding it. And also you can look into the origins of NASA and who founded it, and I think his name is like Jack Parsons or something like that, who was an occultist, and all these different things. And you'll find that like NASA can mean to deceive and things like that. And so that's just a little bit of it. So I'm not saying I believe that the earth is flat, but there's a lot you can look into about it that just makes you question different things. Also, the Bible talking about the firmament, the waters above, the waters below, and the earth being stationary. So there's just a lot of questions there. And I feel like I want to go and figure this out truly for myself and figure out who's lying and who's telling the truth. And it's just tough to like wade through all these things because there's like there's all these conspiracy theories, and there's all these points of view, and there's all these prominent figures, and then there's the government, and there's what the government wants to do and wants us to know, and then there's their government's controlled opposition, and then there's people giving us a little bit of disinformation, and then some people telling the truth, and then tons of people believing something and being ridiculed for it, and other people believing something and being ridiculed for that. And there's people on both sides. If you go on YouTube or you go wherever, just in life, like there's people who are like, hey, I've really been awakened to the real truth about the world, and they're so convinced. And you go on the other side, and there's people exactly like that on the other side. So it's hard to find like a solid ground to rest on for the truth and our understanding of the world. But so basically, I'm saying that I wanted to kind of push away flat Earth. I was like, this is so dumb. How would they succeed in duping everybody about the shape of the Earth and the universe and things like that? How could you trick everyone about the universe? But I'm not saying I believe in that. But you could probably benefit from going and doing your own research into this thing and finding out even just the weird things. Like, we went to the moon, and then NASA says that we lost the technology. Like, who is going to throw away all the technology for going to the moon? That's totally ridiculous. And so even if the Earth isn't flat, if we went to the moon, why would we like try to hide that? At the very least, are they lying about like what the moon is, or are they lying about like what are they lying about? Because it's clear there's some shady stuff going on, or a whole bunch of NASA pictures and things like that are really just art, or like they'll make a video about things going on in the universe, but you find out that it's just art. And so it's like, okay, what are we doing? Like, these telescopes should be showing us real things that are happening in the universe, you know? So I'm not able to confirm a lot of these different things. I'm just throwing ideas out there for you guys to be able to find things for yourself as well. But these are two different views that I'm looking at. If we live in a massive universe, or if we live in a biblical firmament. So the point of the biblical firmament would be like, okay, so everyone's like, okay, why would governments lie about the shape of the earth and everything? What do you gain from that? So one big thing is the New World Order and the thirst for like power. The governments have a thirst for power, and how you unite the world under a one world government is you get all of us united against a different threat, a different culture, like aliens. And so how are aliens real? Well, aliens are real if we live in a massive, ever-expanding universe where there can be different aliens and alien cultures. So kind of one of the ideas is that aliens are created by the government, or it's a huge hoax or something like that. And so, man, I don't know, but that's one of the ideas. And then also, if the ultimate truth about the world is God and the God of the Christian Bible, and we live in a biblical firmament under a dome, and we live in this world that God has created, then NASA if it's led by Satanists, they're going to want to lie to all of us and make us think that we live on a ball flying through space that's totally meaningless, and it's preposterous that there could be a God. And so that could be something that the devil, that Satan has kind of like orchestrated in the world, and it's a huge lie that that is perpetuated through the organization of NASA, and it's kind of like Satan and his spiritual power is over that entire thing. So that's one of the ideas. Another one of the ideas. So I don't know, guys. I don't know if that is really real. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if I don't know how, what the probability of that being true is. Also, I'm not a scientist, and I don't have all the information on the history of, how we figured out that we live on a globe, how we figured out that we live on a sphere in an ever-expanding universe. I don't know all those things, but there are some really shady, interesting things about NASA and just about things you find in the Bible about what reality is and about the earth that we live on. So, so if A is true and we live in a massive universe, then we have to reinterpret the Bible, and there's evidence for aliens being real. Because if we live in a massive universe, there's clear evidence that the universe is just bringing up new civilizations and cultures all the time, and aliens could be real. But if we live in a biblical firmament, then the Bible is literal and people are lying. And people who have these huge telescopes and whatever, they're able to see kind of like the truth that you can't see way out into an infinite universe, but they want to cover that up. So I don't know how true that is, but that's one of the ideas, and I can kind of see both the arguments. I looked into flat Earth, the biblical firmament, for a very long time, and looked into a lot of it, and it was enough to say, man, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know if I can trust that the Earth is what they say it is. Reality is what they say it is. So either A, we live in a massive expanding universe, or B, it's a limited world under the firmament. Now, there's other views, of course. There's tons of other views, and I'll give my reasons in a little bit for why I use the Christian view a lot, and why I kind of only have these two, like the mainstream view and then biblical. Like it's like, oh, why don't you use instead of Christianity, like the view of a different religion as the explanation of the origin of the world, and have like an A, B, C, D, E, whatever. But it's because of specific reasons how I've seen Christianity being the one true religion, the one truth, and I'll go into that later. But so if it's a massive expanding universe, this doesn't really seem biblical after I've seen a whole bunch of people present Bible verses that talk about how the earth is stationary, and how, we live in the firmament with the waters above and the waters below. So it doesn't really seem biblical, and it doesn't match up with ancient cosmology from advanced civilizations. So there's the Egyptian depiction of the known universe of the world, and the point kind of is that other people have brought up is if these aliens or angels and demons are coming from the heavens or planets or whatever, and they're building these incredible structures and they have all this advanced knowledge, and not to mention they're coming from like outer space and these planets and whatever, then why would they have not taught the Egyptians about the solar system and how it's a heliocentric model, and it's not geocentric, and it's not an enclosed Earth or anything like that? Now, I don't know that I can back myself up and say that they haven't, that the ancient Egyptians didn't do this and didn't have a view of the solar system, whatever, and it was heliocentric and all that. So y'all will have to look into it. But from what I've seen in a lot of ancient cultures, it's all, so many of them are like an enclosed earth and a firmament and things like that. But if there were these advanced civilizations and these beings coming from different planets, why would they be saying, that why would they not be telling them that they came from these planets and it's a huge universe that we live in? So I don't know about that. I'm not exactly sure. With so many of these things, it's like you can look into it a lot, but a lot of it is history, and it's way back 4,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago, and it's like, how do I confirm it? And you might be on YouTube or Google and getting information from these different sources, but literally, how do you know that these people aren't like working for the government, or they're not misinformed, or they didn't make a mistake in translating different things or researching different things, or they didn't whatever. So it's so difficult when things are 4,000, 5,000 years ago and you're trying to figure things out. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure on that. Now B, if we live in a limited world, under the firmament, under the dome, this seems more biblical. It's a very fringe view, and you'll probably get laughed at and ridiculed by a whole bunch of people, by huge communities, whatever. If you believe this, I don't know if it's what I believe, but that's the other view I'm kind of looking at. So we talked about, why would NASA lie? NASA would lie to unite us under a one world government, which is biblical. A one world government, a new world order, and or hide God. If he's the real truth, and the higher ups, the elites, know that it's God versus the devil. And I'm not saying like it's God versus like it's a competition. Like God wins, but they're worshiping the devil. You know, they're worshiping Satan. So that's another one of the ideas. And then back to the topic of, well, we'll get to it later. We'll get to why it's just, it's so difficult to know who was lying and who's telling the truth in history, and what's fable and what's mythological and what's historical. It's kind of like there's these two opposing sides, and you're wondering, okay, why would each side lie about different things? And so if you have like if you have the government trying to conceal the truth about the world, and maybe we really live in a biblical firmament, and they're trying to conceal it, like, is God really real? And they're trying to hide that, or maybe they're trying to perpetuate this idea of a flat earth to get everyone to like not know the truth about the universe that we live in, or they're trying to hide the reality of aliens existing in ancient civilizations, because maybe if we knew that, it would be dangerous. So you have, on the one hand, maybe they're trying to hide God from us, and that's the real truth. And if we really knew God, we would be self-fulfilled and free in our lives. And on the other hand, you have, maybe there's a truth about the universe that the government is trying to hide from us, about aliens and ancient civilizations, and the truth is that we can really attain this higher state of being or something like that, and we can really know some higher truth. So there's those two different sides, and I'll get more into that later. But so we kind of have these two different views, and then one of the situations of like a real life story thing. There's tons of these. There's tons of these out there, tons of stories and things like that. And I can't recall a ton of them, but just a huge point of this is go do your own research. But the Dogon tribe, I think it's in Africa. Basically, the Dogon tribe says that they were visited by these beings from, oh man, I can't remember what the planet was, but you can look up the Dogon tribe. So how can aliens be real if we live in a limited world under the firmament? So how could aliens be real because the Dogon tribe tells this story from forever ago, from so long ago, when these beings with advanced knowledge, they were advanced beings, they came and gave the Dogon tribe so much information about how the world works and how we should live and things like that. So they either really did come from the planet that the Dogon tribe says, maybe as a portal and they're fallen angels, or they came from heaven or hell and they lie about where they came from. So this is, if we live in a limited world under the firmament, under the dome, they really came from the planet, but it's not a planet as we understand it. It was like a portal or something. Or they come from heaven and hell, and they lie. They lie about coming from a planet to make the Dogon tribe think, oh, it's an ever-expanding universe, and make them think God isn't really real. That these are the gods, and they want to be worshipped. So, I don't know, guys. This is all assuming B. It's just kind of like taking this argument a little further and trying to understand it. But yeah, the point is that, like, if we live in a firmament, how can aliens be real? Are they coming from the planets, like, and planets aren't what we understand, and they're coming from, like, portals, like, from heaven or something like that, or from hell? Or are they coming from heaven or hell and they lie, and they're not really coming from a planet, you know, to support the idea that we live in an ever-expanding universe? So, not exactly sure on that. So why would NASA lie? Again, to make people think it's a huge expanding universe and God doesn't exist. And unite the world against aliens created by the government for the New World Order. So a lot of questions here, again, that are difficult to answer, and you got to dig into this thing a lot. So are aliens actual aliens? Are they created by the government? Are they angels or demons? Are they a mixture of these things? So some stories describe incredible alien abilities and tech. Could the government really do that? So there's a lot of stories out there that that people have told about seeing this alien tech and working with it even. And it's like, could the government really hoax this whole thing? Do they have advanced technology, advanced enough to be able to hoax this thing? Like, it doesn't seem plausible. I don't know, but they could. I don't know. You could look into Bob Lazar, I think. I can't remember how to say it, but he's the dude who was working on an alien spaceship, on a UFO. And he seems so believable. But, okay, so even if he seems like he's telling the truth, and even if he is telling the truth, he was like he's a really smart guy, and he had no idea what this tech was, and everyone around him at the U.S. Air Force Base was like bewildered as well. They had no idea what was going on with this tech. It just doesn't seem like the government would be able to hoax this whole thing with the technology and all that, you know? It's like really advanced stuff. This is all assuming that the guy, Bob Lazar, was telling the truth. But I don't know on that, again. Like, it's so difficult to confirm these things. But, so there's that. So next, is it a mix of these different things? Maybe they're actually aliens, maybe they're created by the government, maybe there's some that are angels and demons, whatever. There's like a mix of these things that it's so tough to figure out what the real truth is. So what if demons work with the government to fool the world? Now, this might make a little more sense, maybe because demons maybe have some higher knowledge from God or whatever that they understand, and they're able to make these crafts, and maybe it's an elaborate deception from the devil to turn us away from God. Not exactly sure. Yeah, so the demons give secret knowledge of tech, and both the demons and the government use it. Not exactly sure on that. There's so many different ideas. Alright guys, so next, is everything contrary to Christianity really lies? Alright, so this is the big question for me, and we will get into it over here. So, is everything contrary to Christianity really lies? I'll give you guys the reason why Christianity holds so much weight for me personally. And not just me personally, but in a scientific kind of way. It's like, okay, these things are happening in the world that really give a lot of strength to the argument of Christianity being the truth, okay? So, maybe it's that everything that is contrary to Christianity is really lies. Maybe Christianity is the one truth, and the devil is really real, and he's really smart, and he's really trying to bring everyone down and deceive everyone. And the truth is really knowing God, and that's what's really going to set us free. I don't know exactly. I'm trying to figure that out, but here we go. So, either Christianity is truth, and everything contrary to it is lies. Or we live in a universe, and Sumerian and other tablets are historical, Okay, so those are two big ideas that I'm kind of throwing around, but it's not like it's A or B, there's also C. There's some integration of A and B. So maybe there's parts of this that are true, maybe there's parts of this that are true, you know, but I'm trying to figure that out. So there's a lot of questions that are here. And they're kind of the two main things, you know, Christianity is the truth, or on the opposite side, we live in a universe, and everything in these, or a lot of the things in Sumerian tablets and all that, are historical, and the Bible is not true. And so I'm dealing with this thing and trying to figure out which side is the right one. So a lot of questions here. Are some proponents of B, that we live in a universe and Sumerian and other tablets are historical? Are they just agents of the darkness? Are they agents of the devil? Are they meant to perpetuate this lie that we live in this infinite universe? I mean, billions and billions of years. And maybe that's a huge lie to just keep us asleep, keep the truth hidden from us. I don't know. Was the Bible written to deceive? There's this other idea that the Bible is written literally to deceive people, and it's meant to keep us from being awake to the truths about the universe, and that we can become higher beings. Okay, so we'll see in a little bit that these are really contrary to each other. So was Christianity meant to deceive? What would it lie about? What is it meant to keep us from knowing? I don't really know. Is it to keep humanity from ascending into higher forms of being? This is really contrary to what the Bible says to do in life. So, like I said, both A and B kind of stand against each other. So they really stand against each other because it's literally talking about in Genesis how the snake told Eve to eat the fruit from the tree, you know, and that was to what? To know as God knows, and to just know all the truth and know everything, and the knowledge of good and evil. And God said, if you eat from it, you'll surely die. And the devil said, no, that's a lie. If you eat from it, you'll live and you'll be like God. Whatever it is, I'm paraphrasing. And so that is kind of like the whole thing summed up. And Genesis gives us a good idea of like these sides of like the truth versus lies. Like, is God the liar? Is the devil the liar? Like, who's the liar? What are we really supposed to do? Are we really supposed to listen to God, the God of the Bible, and know Him and understand that we can't know all things and we're not trying to ascend into higher forms of being? Or is God the liar, and is the devil the truth, the devil in the Bible telling the truth that like we need to eat of this fruit and we need to ascend, and the Bible is lies? And so I'm not saying that I believe that. I believe in God being the truth. That's kind of what I believe right now. But these are really standing against each other and give us a good idea of like how this thing is really like complex and kind of convoluted. So A, God is real. He's the truth, and we don't seek to know everything about the universe and all that. So the deception would be in A, and when God is real. The deception is that you eat of the tree and you will ascend, and you will be like God, and we can all be gods. That would be the deception in the viewpoint A. Now in viewpoint B, self is kind of everything, and we ascend and we try to know all things, and we try to build our civilization up and become more spiritually, whatever, in tune with the universe and all those things, and higher forms of being and ascension and all that. So the deception in this point of view would be that Christianity and religion is trying to get you to not wake up to the truth that you can ascend. And so you kind of see that when you believe one of these, you're in danger of not living in the truth of the other. So they're kind of really against each other. And when you believe A, you're in the danger of not waking up to the truth that you can know more things and that you can ascend, that you can break past all the norms of society and all these things, and you can connect with the universe, whatever, and you can all these things. But if you believe A or you believe B, you're in great danger of surely dying and being deceived, and and you're in great danger of trying to ascend and whatever, but really you're conversing with demons and all these things. So you can see that there is a danger in not living in the truth of the other one. Alright guys, so here is the question, which one is true? Is God really real? Is he really the truth? And we're not supposed to seek to know everything? Or is it the truth that we are supposed to like ascend into a higher form of being and know more things? Is the Bible a lie? Or is that kind of deception? Or is it that the idea of like the universe and knowing higher knowledge and things like that, is that deception? Is that demonic? Things like that. So I feel like it's really difficult to know what the truth really is when we look back into time, when we look back into history. In my experience, it has been really helpful, but it's just difficult to know who's telling the truth and who's lying. So we can't go back and look at history. We can't go back and see exactly what happened. There are so many lies, there are so many cover-ups, and so many myths versus history. Like, what is mythological, what is historical? There are so many different theories about different things that are going on in the past in history, like the story of the Anunnaki and us being created by an advanced civilization, us being created by other beings, us being created by aliens, things like that, crazy stuff. Or there's that God created the heavens and the earth, and then there's other religions and things like that, and their stories of the origin of the universe and all those kinds of things. So there's just so many different things. This is what I talked about earlier. We know that the light is greater than the darkness, and even if everything was a simulation, everything was created by some being or whatever, I don't think that they would trick us and put that analogy in everything that we do. So we know that light always wins, and light is always greater than the darkness. So it seems that the life force, whether it be God or whether it be some kind of a being or just a force of goodness or something like that, it seems that the life force of the world is light and is good and is trying to produce goodness and beauty in the world. So it seems that the life force is concerned with love and beauty. Why? Because what other reason is there for being? Like, if you really think about what we're really doing here, everyone just wants to be happy. And why would that be inside of us? Why would we be seeking something greater and a greater reality and a greater existence? Why would we be seeking happiness and fulfillment and love and beauty and light and all these things if that's not what life is all about? Like, when you try to think about like the greatest existence you can think of for humanity, it always involves light and goodness. And if it's darkness, if you just think about this, if you think about if no one thinks that the greatest existence and reason for being is darkness. Like, it's literally, if you're in darkness, you can't even see anything, you can't experience anything. It's just dark. So it's always going to be more towards the light and seeking the light and the good things, and that's what everyone is always thinking. And you might be really demented or demonized or whatever and thinking, no, I want darkness and things like that, but in reality, deep down, everyone knows that a utopia and things like that is going to be filled with light, going to be filled with love and beauty. So it just seems that the life force is concerned with this love and beauty, whether that be God or something else. So what greater end is there possible? And that's what I'm talking about. What's the greatest end you can think of for humanity? And it would be like a utopia kind of state of existence. Like, it would be so much love, light, and beauty, things like that. So it seems like that's what the universe, that's what God, whatever, wants us to go towards. So another observation is that I can think about all these things all I want, and I have, and I've spent so much time thinking about it. But it doesn't change the fact that when I wake up in the morning, truth is not going to come looking for me. Like, I don't wake up in the morning and feel like necessarily like an outside force acting upon me, telling me things, or presenting things to me. There might be little things that pop in my head, but how can I tell that it's like a being giving me those things, or like some force, or that it's my thoughts? And so basically, when I wake up in the morning, I'm the one that has to go looking for the truth. I have to seek it out. And so, yeah, I have to find it, and truth needs to be sought. And I feel like a lot of people would agree with that. There's some people that have had incredible experiences and truth is just kind of given to them, like some extent of the truth or truths or something like that, and not necessarily the ultimate truth and things like that. But in my own experience, I have to go looking for this stuff. And so it kind of brings into question again what we were talking about at the beginning about how much is it worth it? Like how much time and energy is it going to take to figure these things out and figure out the truth? And to me, it seems worth it to try to figure these things out. But it just seems evident to me that that to a great extent, truth needs to be sought, and it's not just going to present itself. And that's also evident in just history and people searching for the truth. I mean, spending their lives searching for the truth. And people could spend their entire lives searching for the truth without a supernatural experience and something presenting itself to them. And so that's incredible as well, and it just makes you think about things. Like, is God really real? Is God the truth, or is it some other truth or something like that? It's just like, it seems like a lot of it is us trying to figure out what the truth is. So that's a big point. So I can research these things all that I want. I can research things. I can try to figure out the truth all that I want, you know. In the end, a lot of it is about what you've really experienced. So kind of the point there is I can look into so many things in historical documents and things like that. It can be difficult to tell what's a hoax and what's the truth and what's lies and things like that. And so what people can't refute is what you've experienced. Now, there's one side of it that's like, oh, you've experienced that, but what if, like there's crazy ideas. There's all kinds of ideas. Like what if you are the one person who's experiencing the reality? And I don't know if you've seen The Truman Show, but it's with Jim Carrey, and it's like he's the focus of the entire world around him. And it's like, some of you might have thought that before, like what if it's just me that's experiencing reality and all these things are acting upon me? How do I know anything's real? And so there's even extreme views like that. But at the end of the day, like, how are you really going to know that? That would be really difficult to figure out if that is the ultimate truth. So there's certain things to me that kind of seem like, okay, I need to balance doing things in my life and figuring out the truth. And an extreme view like that is like, would seem too much, like that would take too much time to try to figure out all those things about that. So I'm kind of like, it seems really evident to me and over the experience of my entire life that like my senses don't normally lie to me, you know? So it seems like they're pretty trustworthy, and it seems like obviously I'm not the main character in this world and everything's acting upon me. And so, but I mean, there's all kinds of theories, like what if we were created by some being and we're not like truly experiencing what we think we are and things like that. But I feel comfortable in pretty much like trusting my senses to a pretty good extent, you know. But there could be other views, I'm saying. So, but anyways, it's really about what you've really experienced. And so for me, it's kind of like I can look back into history all I want, but the present, I feel like, is going to give me so many answers for what the true reality is. So, like, I look at people's character a lot, and I look at people's lives and see, like, okay, are you interacting with the things you say you're interacting with? Like, if someone is, like, new agey or whatever, and they like are trying to be in tune with the universe, you want to look at, like, what their life is producing, and if it's producing goodness and light, and love, and things like that. And then the Christians around you, you want to look at if the Christians around you are really knowing the God that they say they believe in, and if they really know Him, and if it's producing something in their life that you can see and you can experience. So you want to be looking at all of those things. All right, guys. So you want to look at people's lives around you in order to find the truth, and then also not just people's lives and the fruit that they're producing, but I mean, I would say just being in the quiet and just asking God to reveal Himself to you if He's really real, right? because we can look back in history, we can look at other people's lives, but we also got to have our own experience as well and call out and say, you know, if there's a being out there, like, tell me, like, what is the truth? Speak to me, something like that, you know? So just like our real experience. Okay, so in my life, what I've experienced, the phenomenon of demons being cast out in the name of Jesus is 100% real. So I've seen tons of demons cast out of people. You go online, you can go on YouTube and look it up, whatever. You can see that there's a real phenomenon of demons being cast out of people in Jesus' name. So I haven't tested this. I don't know about in other gods, whatever names. Like, can demons come out in the name of whatever, something else? But from what I've seen, from what I know, demons only bow to the name of Jesus. And that's just what I've seen, what I've experienced. And it's like, it's a true, super real thing. Like, people's bodies will contort and whatever, and the demons will talk, like, through the person's body. Like, what is that? Like, if Christianity isn't true, what is going on there? Because that's real evidence of what the Bible says being a reality. Speaking in tongues is 100% real. I've seen people just totally not in control of their own body. It's like you can tell that they're, like, possessed by the Holy Spirit. What we would say is the Holy Spirit. So, like, if someone gets a demon cast out of them and then filled with the Holy Spirit, you see the sign of speaking in tongues. And it's like, okay, you can't really argue with that. Like, you can look up videos of people, demons being cast out of people, and then they're filled with the Holy Spirit and they start speaking in tongues. And it's like, you can't argue against that at a certain point, you know? Prophecy is real. I know, like, a lot of friends I have that have operated in the gift of prophecy or received prophecies and they come true. And so this is talking about, like, the spiritual gift of prophecy. Like, you hear from God and people say word of knowledge, and you hear from God and you tell someone whatever what God is telling you to tell that person. And it's very, very real. And so, like, what is this being that is telling people these things? Is it God? Is it the ultimate God? Is it a God? Like, what is this being that is revealing these truths to these people? And so is it, like, part of the truth, or is it the one true God? And what's the deal there? Because these things are very real. So yeah, like I said, like, follow the fruit of people's lives, follow the light and the love of people's lives. So people are going to say they believe all kinds of things, but it's like, it's what your life is producing and it's what you see in someone's life. And so is there a lot of light and love coming from someone's life? And I think that is going to always lead you closer to the truth, you know? And then also, okay, on top of this, we have people that are healed in the name of Jesus. So I haven't tested any of this stuff. I don't know about talking about in the names of other gods of other religions if you could be healed through their names or whatever. What I know is I've seen healings happen right before me, and on YouTube I've seen so many healings. And yeah, okay, those things could be fake, whatever. There's people that I know their character, and you see things happen that are so real. And it's like, you've seen so much stuff that it can't all be fake. And there's people who are legitimately healed from different huge diseases, whatever, in Jesus' name. And so this thing is happening, so it's like, okay, there's some level of truth to this. There's some spiritual truth to this thing. I don't know if it's the ultimate truth, the ultimate reality, but there's some truth that's in there because it's a real thing. So yeah, when there's a real light, love, and freedom that you can see in someone. So it's like, are these people who are New Age believers, whatever, is there true freedom and light and love coming from their beliefs, coming from their life? If there's not a true freedom and a true love and light coming from their life that I want in my life, then I don't want that belief, you know, and I wouldn't see that as the truth. But I know a lot of people who are walking in some really, really true freedom and some really, really true love and light. And there's some different preachers and things like that. I listen to Dan Mohler a lot, and you can just tell from his life that it's a true freedom, and that's something that I want, that people want. And to me, it kind of represents, like, that's truth. It kind of gives some some evidence that that is the truth that he's believing in, and it's not just like one of the things. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at people who believe in like the universe being and like the life force or whatever who that is leading all of us, and it's like, okay, what does their life look like? Is it producing goodness and love and freedom? So that's a lot of what I'm going after, because all of us have a limited view of reality and life and truth, and so there's some things that you kind of have to like concede on, and you got to be like, okay, maybe I can't figure out everything about just life, you know? But there's these people that I know that believe this thing, and here's the fruit of their life, and it's amazing, it's incredible, and that just seems like truth, you know? That seems like it's closer to the beauty and the light and the love that this life force is wanting us to go towards, and so that seems like more like truth to me. So a lot of that is just personal experience and things like that. All right, so I've come to the point where it's either one of two things. It's Christianity is the truth, it's the ultimate truth, and there's nothing else. Or at the very least, Christianity is a truth that the universe allows to work or allows to happen. But the deal is, okay, especially with like demons being cast out of people, healing in Jesus' name and all these things, like either Jesus must be a super, like, either he's the truth, he's the one true God, he's really the Son of God, or he's a really powerful God out of these, like, beings that exist in the universe, and he's like a spiritual, ascended being of another dimension or whatever, who can travel through dimensions, that has this power and ability to act upon our reality. I'll get into that in a second, but so either Christianity is the truth or Christianity is a truth. So if Christianity is the truth, then why is God so hard to find? I was dealing with this a lot. I spent like 3 weeks, just like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that, just like going after God. Like that was the only thing I did, the only thing I thought about. And I felt like I experienced him. I felt like I heard from him and all this. But to me, it was like bothering my mind. It was like, I can't see him. Some people do see spiritual manifestations and crazy things and all this, and visions and all that. I haven't had that. And I'm wondering, how do I know that it's the God of the Christian Bible with my limited experience and feeling like I'm hearing from him and experiencing him and his presence, but how do I know that the spiritual thing that I'm making contact with is God and not like something that's tricking me? Or what if it's the universe and it's like, or some other being? Or what if God is like one of the beings we can connect with or something like that? Or like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, they're real, but they're just like part of the truth, and there's some beings that do exist and have power, but there's even higher being or something like that. So I was dealing with all that. Why is God so hard to find? Because people can go their whole lives and not ever feel like God put something into them, or like revealed himself to them, or like gave them a thought to think about if he's real or something like that. So I have some trouble with that, because he's all loving and he's all powerful, we say. But if I were to create a reality and I really love the beings that I created, I feel like I would be more easy to find, and I would reveal myself more easily. And so I'm just dealing with that question, if Christianity is the real truth. So why doesn't God interact with his world and his children more easily? So it just seems like, you know, if you are a loving father or a loving mother or whatever, you're not going to hide from your kids and make sure that they like have the right intentions when they're coming to know you. No, you're going to just love them no matter what. And it just seems like God is kind of hard to find. So why, like, what's the deal with that? I don't know the explanation for that necessarily. I have a few different ideas, but it just seems like it would be better if God was just more easy to find. All right, so then B, Christianity is a truth that the universe allows to work, could be true. So Jesus could be an incredible God that has a reality of demons and freedom that he controls in the world. So this is a little crazy, but like there's the phenomenon of demons living inside of people, you know, and their body reacts to it and everything. And it seems like that's just something that is totally real and in reality. So the thing that I was maybe thinking, like a little thought I had is like, okay, there's maybe the little chance that that's not the total reality, because maybe Jesus is like a really powerful being and he's able to act on our reality and make this phenomenon happen within people, and I don't know. And it's just like something that can happen to people, but people can also be acted upon by different beings and realities or something like that. But then when people are set free from being demonized, they feel so free, and it feels so real that this is like what reality is, you know? And not to mention, in addition, like people having near-death experiences and never knowing about Jesus or caring, and then they see him, they have a vision of him, they experience him. Or people who don't care about God at all, and then God speaks to them. There's tons of things. But that's a crazy idea that I don't think that's true. Like, it seems like this, that it's reality, that demons are real, and that they can live inside of us, and they can be, we can be delivered from them, and Jesus is the one true King. It just seems like that. But yeah, so there's that, and he could be, maybe he's the total reality of this world, or of Earth, or something like that, and there's other realities of different planets or different creations that a higher being than the Christian God has made, or something like that. I don't know, but it seems like too much of a stretch, because you watch videos of people who are clearly under demonic oppression and they're set free, and it's like it's a just physical reality. And I've never seen anything like that from other religions where you start manifesting demons, and I've never seen like a demon cast out in the name of another god or something like that. Like, it's always Jesus, it's always these demons who manifest and say their name, and people are okay, and then people are healed in Jesus' name, and you receive prophecy from God, from knowing God, from hearing from God. So, just all these different things. And B doesn't seem, I don't know, B doesn't seem as plausible to me right now. It seems more likely that Christianity is the truth. Yeah, just because how a lot of these things add up. I don't know, that's just where I'm at right now. But, yeah, so A seems more plausible. Seems more plausible that Christianity is the truth. That just seems like it to me. I don't know everything. I don't know about what the world is. I don't know. There's a lot there about like who's lying and who's not and what's real, you know? About the shape of the earth, and if we live on a globe, if it's a biblical firmament, like what's going on. I don't know exactly what the world is that God created, and it's all so interesting, because I see all these literally physical manifestations and these things you see of Christianity being really, really real. Prophecy, speaking in tongues, casting out demons, healing the sick, raising the dead, things like that. And all these things just seem so real, and visions that people have of Jesus, and real relationships with God where they hear from him and things like that. But there's that, and that being so real, and then there's me, and me living my life, and a lot of times I just wake up and I don't have any sense of like, I'm like, how would God come and find me if I were to walk away from what I believe and things like that? And like, the truth seems so hard to find, even just about like what the universe is, and the shape of the earth, and like where we live and things like that. And it's like, man, if God is really real and he really loves us, would he not like make it more evident, like what the truth is, you know? And so it's just a difficult thing to deal with. On top of all that, for more evidence that the spiritual thing is real. There's tons of people who have testimonies about these kinds of things. I mean, countless. But this guy, John Ramirez, who was a high-ranking Satanist, talks about when he was saved by Jesus, he had an incredible encounter. He went to hell, and Jesus saved him from that. But in his past life, he was a high-ranking Satanist, and he was heavily involved in witchcraft, and he understands all the ins and outs of demonic activity and the supernatural and things like that. And the devil is very real. He would talk with the devil, and he would relate with the devil, and in his story, the supernatural was all about the devil. And he says behind all of these things that are new agey and things like this, and when you're looking into all kinds of things that to me seem like deception, like new age practices and thinking like you got to connect with a higher power of the universe and things like that. He says it's all demons working behind this thing, and it's all demonic activity, and it's all demons in the kingdom of darkness versus Jesus. And in his story, he's talking with the devil, and he's behind the scenes of everything, and he's putting witchcraft on people, and this is very real stuff. It's like witchcraft on people, and the demons are working in people's lives to kill people, to steal, kill, and destroy from people in the dude's life. And he understands the ins and outs of spiritual warfare. But then he didn't know Jesus his whole time, and then he encounters Jesus in hell. He goes to hell, and Jesus saves him, and now he's set free. And when you know Jesus, you walk in the power of Jesus and walk in the power of the light of the Holy Spirit, of casting out demons, of living in power, of healing the sick, of raising the dead, and things like that. And so there's stories like that that make it seem like, man, this is like the reality of what's going on. And it's just difficult for me to wrap my mind around and get to this place where I live in that constantly. Because you can watch something like that or experience something like that, and then you go home to your life and it's very normal and very physical, and you just experience everything that you're seeing, that you're sensing, and stuff like that. And what if you don't have the initiative to go after God and pursue Him? Like, is He going to come and pursue you? And that's kind of a question that I've dealt with a lot. So even though I have this huge argument and all these things that I've experienced that God is really real, I still question, like, God, if you are all loving and all powerful, then why are you so hard to find? I don't understand. Like, why is it always me pursuing you? And so that's something that I dealt with. But anyways, since I believe these things, I'm forced to believe that if it seems like A is plausible, that Christianity is the truth, then I'm forced to believe that Christianity is truth, God is just hard to find, or B, Christianity is a truth but not the whole truth. This isn't connected to this. I'm just forced to believe because I believe that Christianity is a truth. It's either Christianity is the truth and God is just hard to find, or Christianity is a truth but not the whole truth. So I'm still dealing with that because a big thing for me is, like I said, if I was the creator of the universe, I just feel like, and I'm all loving, I just feel like I would create these beings and I would make it easier for them to connect with me, and I would make myself more easily accessible, and I would make it more clear to the beings that I've created that I am the true reality, and that it's all about loving me and loving other people because you know me, that if I were the creator of the universe, So that's what I'm dealing with. I'm kind of just here. So what I've kind of realized is that even people who believe the whole, like, there's the life force that set the universe into motion and everything, to me it still makes sense that that life force is leading towards a future that is love, light, and beauty. And so I feel like I can at the very least base myself on top of that like, man, I think Christianity is the truth. And there's so much evidence for it being true, just like physical evidence that you can see, that you can hear, you can touch, whatever. But it's hard to like get over that, like, into like, yes, it's the one truth that I can base my entire life off of. But what I feel like is that I can base myself off of whatever is behind everything, the universe or God or the Christian God or whatever. The life force behind everything is concerned with love, light, and beauty. That's what this universe, that's what the world is like wanting to go towards. And there's a darkness and there's a light. And we see that every single day. When you go to bed at night, you turn off the light and there's darkness. You turn on the light and the darkness flees, And darkness is just the absence of light, So, I mean, I feel like what I know to be true is that we're supposed to live in love, light, and beauty. I feel like I feel like Christianity is true, and there's God the Father, and God the Son, God the Holy Spirit that we can connect with and we can know. And I feel like I've heard his voice personally and that I can really know him. And if that is only part of the truth, then maybe there's like a higher being behind everything in the universe that is also love and light and beauty, and we can connect with him, whatever that being, you know. And so I feel like that is just what is working behind everything. I don't know if I'm supposed to reach out to God the Father and really know him, or be connected with some other spiritual reality above that. I don't feel like that is what the truth is. I feel like it's the God of Christianity, but just because of everything I've experienced. But then I still deal with the questions of, you know, what's going on here? Why is he hard to know, hard to access, and why isn't he more clearly the true reality? So yeah, that is where I am at. I feel like I've made just a lot of progress in figuring this stuff out, but you know, still wanting more. But like I said, I'll probably make a video in the future of kind of a visual representation of like that graph I was talking about how life is kind of like a board game, and you can only spend so much time figuring this stuff out. I think that both paths, both strategies have their strengths and their weaknesses. So I've been trying to kind of balance it out and figure out what I should do. I felt like I should commit a lot of time to trying to figure this stuff out. You know, because we want to live the greatest life that we can. We want to live in the greatest reality that we can, pulling from you know, a relationship with God, or you know, whatever the higher being is that we can really know and love. And yeah, I currently feel like that is the God of the Bible, but still looking into everything. And regardless, I know that you can go in the quiet and you can reach out to God and you can know him. And I really do think that, like, I think that it's a God, you know, it's God, that the highest being is God that's behind everything. I don't know all the intricacies of reality and where we live and what we live on, but I feel like you can connect with a God who is love and light and beauty and who is concerned with that. And the highest purpose, even without Christianity, you know, it would still be to produce this love and this light in the world, and progress humanity into a place of greater beauty and love and light. So I feel like you can, you know, I feel like for me that I can rest on that like there's a God and there's this higher being that we can know, we can interact with, because how else are people getting this this prophecy and getting this power, you know? Is Jesus just one God, you know, out of other beings that exist? Is God just one of the beings? You know, I don't know, but I know when I reach out to God and really try to know him, you know, like I feel like he's there, you know, and I'm trying to really solidify in myself that Christianity is the truth, but I just want to be sure that that I'm living in the full reality of what I can live and to experience life to its full potential. So yeah, that is where I'm at. A lot of this was kind of just to get a huge discussion going, so I would really appreciate if you could comment your thoughts and what you think about what I said about God and reality and things like that. I have a very little narrow view, even with all my time researching tons of different things. I have a very narrow scope of like what is real and what is factual and what is lies and all that stuff. So it'd be good to just come together and try to figure out what the truth of everything really is, so we can all live better lives. So a lot of this was kind of about that, like starting a discussion and seeing if other people know what's going on with all these different things. So that's a whole bunch of information for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to do more videos like this in the future. I got a bunch of different ideas I'll probably maybe do a part 2 when I gather more information and come to more of a conclusion about these things that I believe in. But yeah, until then, where I'm at is Christianity has so much truth to it, and it's at least true. It at least works. I have seen it in so many people's lives at least work so well, so amazing. People are so free, so loving, so joyful, and I've lived there. I've lived where it's just so amazing, so incredible. But yeah, I just want to be sure I'm getting the full truth, you know? I want to make sure that I'm really understanding the full truth to live my life the best way I can. So yeah, guys, let's help each other to do that, to find what the full, complete truth is. And see you guys in the next video.